Hey, what's going on? You're tapped in. It's another 180 Creator interview. I'm your host, Joe Teel, and I got another great guest today, Mr. Brad Taylor. What's going on?
Hey, going well. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited, man. I like to run myself. You obviously like to run more and farther than me.
I take running to the next level.
Yeah. And like so I asked you earlier, but I want to go. I want to just start off with this question. What's the farthest you've ever ran at one time?
So the furthest I've ever run in one event would be 208 miles.
208 miles.
Yeah.
Where was that at?
This was down in a place called Spring, Texas. It's kind of down by the Houston area. It's an event they do every year called the Jackalope Jam, and they basically give you a time limit. And for this particular one, it was 100 hours, and you just go as far as you can in 100 hours, running 3/4 of a mile out, 3/4 of a mile back. So it's
so it's just the same.
Oh yeah, it's psychologically just a total mindfuck, and you just go back and forth, and you do that until the time runs out. And I was able to do it in do 208 miles in that 100-hour time limit.
That would break me, and I'll tell you why. When I run, and even this is how this is to this day, I don't need to see the finish line until it's time to finish.
Yeah, you see that finish line so many times. You'll come up to the finish line and basically go through it, and then come back through it. You'll see your car, so you know you can just leave anytime you want.
I used to ride my bike around Spring Lake Park, like all the way around there, and I'd show up and I'd be like, all right, we're doing 10, 12 miles today. Get around like the second lap. Like you said, I see my car. I'm like, I need to be as far away from the finish line. Like I need one big giant lap.
Now there are 200-mile races where it is like you said, one big giant lap or a point to point. In fact, I'm signed up for one next year called the Cocodona 250. So it will be my longest event today. 250 miles. It starts in Prescott, Arizona, and you run to Flagstaff, Arizona. So you're going basically from the southern desert to the northern, almost into the base of the Rocky Mountains right there.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I went down there a few years ago to help a buddy out who ran it and had a blast and decided, I'm going to go give it my best shot.
So what's going through your head like when you start getting like these ridiculous distances? Is it like nothing or like
it's a lot? Man, it just depends on what phase of the race you're in. I mean, these races can go a million different ways. You can feel great the whole time, or you can feel like shit the whole time. And typically when you're feeling great, you're thinking happy thoughts, you're enjoying yourself, you're glad to be out there. But man, when it goes south, whenever you start going into that, what they call the pain cave, you'll have bad thoughts, man. You want to quit. You wonder why you even signed up. You wonder why you even show up to do it. But you know that if you quit, you're going to be very upset with yourself. Because most of us who go out and do these insane, stupid length races, we do it for a sense of accomplishment more than anything, to kind of find a center. And so when you give up, you feel like you've given up on yourself. So that's kind of one of the things you have to think about when you're pushing for that really ridiculous goal of, 100 miles, 150 miles, 200 miles, whatever it may be. So it can be so much. I mean, I've been to the point where I'm in tears. Running, like literally just, I don't want to do this anymore. So just running with a smile on my face because I'm out there having a great time.
You ever worked through problems like in the middle of a race?
Oh God, yeah.
It's like because like when I run, I get to think about, I don't know, you get into, especially when you get in rhythm, you get kind of comfortable with the discomfort. And your mind goes different places than when I'm just sitting on the couch.
With events like these, you're out there for so long. Take a typical 100-miler, you might be out there for 24 to 30 hours.
God.
And so your body's going to go through all the typical things your body's going to go through. It's going to go through tiredness. It's going to go through sleepiness. It's going to go through the need to use the bathroom out in the middle of nowhere. So you're out on these trails, and that's primarily what I run is trails. So we're out there on these trails, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, no, I got to take a shit. And so you have no choice. You have to stop what you're doing, get off the trail, go find a tree, So, and that's a problem. And sometimes when you're getting out there, your stomach doesn't want to play nice, and so you'll go into gastrointestinal fits, and you'll go a mile and have to pull over. Go a mile, you'll throw up. You'll go a mile, you'll throw up. And in fact, I was doing a race just last year in Colorado, the Leadville 100. Never ran at altitude in my life, so all of a sudden I'm going from 300 feet here to 10,000 plus feet there.
Oh, man.
And my body didn't handle it. I made it. That was one race that I didn't get to the completion because I was literally running myself into the ground with just puking.
How far'd you get?
50 miles.
50.
And it's a 50 mile out, 50 mile back course. So I was kind of happy that I got to see the whole course.
Yeah.
Very upset that I didn't get to come back and get the, because we get these amazing belt buckles for when it, kind of like on a rodeo.
Yeah.
You get these amazing belt buckles for finishing these races. And I really wanted that buckle, but it just wasn't in the cards that day. I mean, coming from the lowlands and running at that altitude, it was terrible. I just could not get my body in check. If you can't get calories in, you can't produce the energy you need to do those really long races like that.
So are you eating?
Yes.
You have to, right?
Yeah, you have to eat. And it depends on who you talk to. There's some people who get out there and they rely on gels. And if you've ever ran, gels are just little 200 calorie packets of goo that you swallow down. Some people prefer real food. I'm part of that. I love real food.
What are you eating in a race, like a long race?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, quesadillas, pizza if they have it.
Pizza.
Bacon.
In the middle of a race?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bacon is my favorite. Man, I'll kill some bacon out there. If I get to the aid station and they got a pan of bacon, I'll eat half of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, if your stomach's playing nice and you can get down on that food, it's going to usually translate into a good day out there.
Man. And drinking. Are you drinking water? You said, but Gator Lights.
Yeah. I do Gator Lights. I typically try to run with water. They make a whole assortment of different liquids you can drink that have calories and electrolytes. But when you do these big long races, you typically have drop points where you can resupply. Mm-hmm. And I'll have, like you said, Gator Lights and just Gatorade, some Tailwind, which is a electrolyte mixer I sometimes drink. And if you're not drinking out there, your day's not going to last very long. I mean, even on the cold days, if you're not hydrating, your body burns through all that fluid so fast that if you're not replenishing it, your body's going to start cramping up. And you're just going to fall apart out there and most likely give up.
That's what they used to tell us in the field. We'd be out in the field for training stuff, and it'd be cold, and they were like, don't let that trick you. Like, you need to keep drinking. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't seem like a hot summer day, but you still got to drink water.
You won't feel thirsty. And that is the most deceptive time to run a race is winter because it's hard to judge how much liquid your body is actually burned through. So, you still have to drink. And there's usually some telltale signs if you're drinking too much. You'll start swelling a little bit. Mm-hmm. You'll be peeing an abnormal amount, which, if you're trying to compete out there and actually run for placement, you want to limit that as much as you can. Because as much as you have to pull over, that's time lost out there. That's positions lost.
Yeah, that is something you have to think about. You just, going to the bathroom and all that stuff, that's just, and that's not even stuff you could plan on, really. No, that's just listening to your body.
That's problem solving out there, just trying to figure out how to get through it,
But everybody's got to do it. Everybody's got to use a bathroom during a 100-mile race. They have to, right? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I've had races where my intestines never once make a noise, never once do anything, and I can cruise through it and pop out the other end. And as soon as I'm done with the race, I'm like, okay, now it's time to find the bathroom. It's like my intestines just checked out just long enough for me to get to the finish line, and then.
Oh man, what's your favorite temperature to run at?
My favorite temperature to run at is about 45 degrees, somewhere in there.
That's nice. I like that too. I need it to be cold. I do not like running in hot. I need it to, but I don't like it to be like 30. I don't like it to be quite that cold. But then I get confused on layers. Like,
right,
we're gonna like real cold. Like the last run the line, I started off with a running jacket deal I had and pants, and about 2 miles in, I had dropped all that.
That's one thing I've kind of learned to do is not overdo it at the start of a cold run. Because like you said, if you're overlayered, you're going to sweat out and then you're going to feel like crap, But 45 degrees, because that's typically a temperature where you can wear short sleeves and shorts and, you might need a light pair of gloves or something like that. But your ability to breathe is probably about perfect right there, where you're not fighting too cold, burning your lungs, or you're not fighting the heat, which right now is god awful. Fighting the heat's a whole different animal.
So like right now it was like 103 yesterday. Mm-hmm. What do? Do you just go run anyway? Or?
Well, it kind of depends on what you're training for. If you're training for a race that's going to be in hot weather, you go out there when it's hot. And not like right now, since I'm training for Pikes Peak next month, the marathon they have on Pikes Peak in Colorado. I don't really have to worry about the heat. So I try to get out there in the morning and run while it's still in the 70s and 80s.
What will the temperature be at the race, you
At
think?
Pikes Peak, they typically range around 60 degrees at start. And once we start getting closer to the summit, it's probably going to be in the mid 30s. So it's going to be a huge shift from what we've got here.
Yeah,
and
that's crazy. That's going to get colder as you're going.
Yeah. The further you get, because, you go from, I think, 7,000 feet where you start the race up to 14,500 feet, which would be the highest I've ever ran.
14,000. Golly, yeah. I'm not sure I've ever been 14,000 feet.
So imagine doing Run the Line, but straight up. You never get to go downhill. It's just like that damn hill on Arkansas Boulevard.
Oh, yeah.
But on steroids for the entirety of the race.
That is a bad spot, though, when you get off on the exit deal and you're going straight up.
Yeah. Yeah, that hill's broken a lot of people who thought they were going to have a good time on that race.
Man, so there's so many variables too. I don't know. And then you train all this time and you show up and then you're just like kind of at the mercy of all the different variables.
Yeah.
You just, I hope it goes good today. Like, how do you keep your spirits up when things don't seem to aren't panning out?
That's hard.
These are long distances to be upset. Like
it is.
If you're running 5 miles and you're not enjoying yourself, like, okay, it's going to end eventually, but that seems different, right?
Yeah. With me, a lot of times I'm trying to compete. So I'm out there trying to get a good position. I know going in usually if I've got a chance to win it or not, because I've won some races. Usually you can see the entrant list beforehand, and you'll know what you're looking at as far as the talent in the field. But when it hits that point, like you said, when all the variables start hitting and you start going downhill, that you have to switch out of that competitive mind, just going to, I just need to finish this thing.
Right.
And if I can just push myself to the point where I can finish, I'll at least I didn't quit. And once you can get in that mindset, and sometimes you even have to switch to walking, because that's a long way, So yeah, it's not always an easy thing to get out of that place. But if you can get your mindset around, I just need to get to the finish line, you can typically trudge through and get it knocked out.
So would you say your mind is more powerful than your body?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was.
When it comes to ultra running, it's 80% mental, 20%.
And so is that what this is called? You would call that ultra running?
Anything that's over the marathon length, usually around 50K. So 31 miles. If you go do a 50K race, that's considered an ultra run. And once you hit that, you're considered an ultra runner.
And you were telling me that you've only been running for like 6 years.
Yeah, started in 2018. Till in 2018.
So how old were you then?
39.
39. Okay.
Yeah. So I had an office job at the time and put on a lot of weight. Was not happy with the way I looked. I had gone and done I had a friend talk me into doing an obstacle course race, a Tough Mudder. And we showed up and I couldn't run from here to the other end of the room. I mean, I was in terrible shape. And, years ago I'd been in decent shape. And it kind of gave me an awakening that, I need to do something because I've got kids, a wife and kids. And the rate I was going, I wasn't putting myself in a good place health-wise. So I decided I was going to start training for these obstacle course races, going to the gym and everything. And I started running trails to prepare for that and realized, holy shit, I love these trails. I love doing this. And it kind of shifted away from the obstacle course racing to just straight up running. And I just got hooked.
You ever ran Bringle?
Oh, yeah.
I ran that.
I run Bringle pretty much every week.
Yeah, I love it. That trail is great.
It's pretty good.
I've probably done it about 30 times. I enjoy it. I like being by myself too. I like just doing it, you know. But I ran the Faith Run there, which I won the guys division. I won that.
Oh, really?
Deal.
Well, congratulations.
It wasn't very fast. What is that? There was a 10K?
Yeah, a 10K and a 5K. I was actually out of town running that day. I couldn't make it.
I don't even remember. I forgot my time, but I lost to 2 girls. They was hauling ass.
Oh, I know them.
They was moving.
Casey and Stacy. I know both of them.
I came behind them too, but I didn't really train for that one either. I just
go out and do it.
Yeah, I kind of get in. I see what you're talking about. That's why I think I probably could like ultra run because once I get going, I'm normally good.
Yeah,
but I want to run a marathon. I need to run a marathon.
That's the next logical step for you. Yeah, man. There's lots of them out there. I did that as well. My first trail race was a marathon. I signed up for the Grasslands.
Wow, that's crazy.
The Grasslands Marathon. and showed up. And I ended up getting second place right out of my very first trail race. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. And and so I kind of got the bug and just started signing up for all these events. So I signed up for a 50K next. And that one's up in the mountains of Arkansas called the Full Moon 50K. That one didn't go like Grasslands did, because I went from running in 35, 40 degree weather to running full moon, which is in July.
Oof.
And it was hot. I think I consumed 7 or 8 liters of fluid. Ended up getting both my hamstrings cramped at the exact same time around mile 24. So I hit the ground screaming and hollering. People were stopping. Are you okay? I'm like, no, shoot me. I want to die. I did not want to get up and finish. That was the longest 7 miles trying to get back to that finish line to finish my first 50K. And, I sat there the whole time in that 7 miles. I'm never doing this shit again. I'm never doing this shit again. I'm never signing up for another race. And literally when I was done and on the ride home, I signed up for my first 100 miler. So, yeah.
I think there's definitely been times in my life where I kind of got addicted to, like extreme working out, just like different extremes. I see it's hard to explain, but obviously you know what I'm talking about. Getting addicted to like, I don't know, just that extra, I don't know. It's a feeling. Like you said, it's a sense of accomplishment. Yeah. It's also like, and then just finishing something tough. I feel like it's so good for you.
It is. It's called type 2 fun. It's putting yourself through hell, but having fun while doing it. And the sense of accomplishment you get from that. And each thing that you stair step up to just gets better and better and better. And the feeling that comes with it. I remember completing my first 100 miler was the Arkansas Traveler, and getting to that finish line and having tears in my eyes just because, holy shit, I just ran 100 miles.
That's so crazy.
Did it well under my goal, 24 hours. I did it in 22 hours, and just can't describe to anyone how that feels. That's one of those deals you have to do yourself and feel. It's unbelievable feeling, and it's really easy to see whenever you feel that feeling of why people get addicted to doing this.
I mean, do you like stuff like? Do you ever do like ice baths and stuff like that? You ever get into that type stuff?
I've done ice baths here and there. I know they've got really good, recuperating properties.
Yeah.
But it's something I never really did. I kind of got into the cryotherapy
for a while. What is that?
So around the time I ran my first 100 miler, I actually kind of picked up a small sponsorship from, I can't remember the name of the place. They were over off of McKnight. And they used to do cryotherapy. It's this chamber you stand in. And basically you're standing in your underwear and they're blowing, like, what was the temperature? Like minus 60 degree air all over your body. So it actually helped me a little bit.
Yeah.
And then they had some more. They had a gun that they would take and do your knee, and they had like a thermometer in it so they could see all the inflammation, which there's a lot after you do a race
I'm sure,
that. Yeah. That was one thing I kind of got into, but the ice baths, I would kind of do them, at my house, throw a couple bags of ice from Easy Mart into a bathtub and get in after I do something really hard. But
yeah, that's something I do every day. It's like I don't know. That's like one of them uncomfortable things I feel like I've kind of got addicted to, like feeling better.
Do you feel like it benefits you?
Oh my gosh. I'll never stop doing them. So I took a trash can, just like a big industrial trash can, and I fill it up with a water hose, and then I have a deep freeze, and I got some Tupperware, and I just freeze my own ice.
Oh, you just make ice blocks and drop it in there?
Drop them in there.
I might try that.
I do it every day.
Huh.
And I've been doing it for about 2 months, almost every day. I miss a day every once in a while. That, and I've been doing the sauna lately. Just kind of, I don't know, like changing the temperature and then making your body like readjust or whatever.
It's that David Goggins shit.
Yeah, dude, it feels so good. Like, I can't tell you like how it's like this insane, like especially in the ice bath, like this like crazy like focus. Like I never feel like that. Like it can, like, especially like I don't know if you get brain fog sometimes where you're just kind of hazy.
Yeah.
If you get in there, dude, it will go away like immediately. It just makes me feel sharper.
I'm gonna have to try that.
I did it this morning.
Oh,
it's I play a lot of basketball. I play a ton of basketball. I've played twice this week.
Oh,
but,
okay.
Like 5-on-5, and that's kind of how I train. As far as like, okay, I know I'm going to race soon. I'm going to just play a whole bunch of basketball, like a ton of back and forth. And no, it seems to help recovery too. But I like what it does to like my mind. I like it.
It gives you some mental clarity.
Yeah, but it's like the feeling before you start like a run too, though. Like, because at the beginning, and I know you know this, like you have to. It's almost like I know I'm about to be uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but I know I need this. It's one of them type deals.
I could see that.
Man. Do you have any recovery hacks? You have to have some type of.
Okay, so I have a friend that calls me Wolverine because I have this uncanny ability to heal after a race.
Wow.
It doesn't take me long. So really and truthfully, I don't have. I've seen people using, massage therapy guns and getting deep tissue massages and drinking certain drinks and eating certain foods and trying to recover that way. But with me, I'm just a naturally fast healer from these
That's
events.
a blessing, ain't it?
Yeah, because I did a 100-miler on back-to-back weekends. I did one in what was it? It was a last person standing, which is a pretty interesting event where you go out every hour and you run like 4.16 miles, and you can do it as fast or as slow as you want, but as long as you're back within the hour, and then start the next one on the next hour, and you keep doing it until everyone is out, until the last person quits.
Wow.
And on that one, I made 100 miles. Well, the winner ended up going like 150 something miles. I was kind of in a rut at that point where DNF did not finish a couple of races, and I was starting to doubt myself. Like, I don't have it anymore. I can't do it. So when I went into that race, I wanted just to hit 100 miles. Well, I hit 100 miles. So I'm like, I did it. I'm done.
Right.
Well, the very next weekend, they had opened up a couple spots in a really prestigious 100-miler down in South Texas. It's just one really fast one that like people come from all over the world to run, because there's some records that get set on that course. And a buddy of mine said, "Hey man, it's open if you want to go sign up." So I signed up, went down there and ran my fastest 100-miler I've ever ran.
And
the
how
very
fast
next
was that?
weekend, it was in 20 hours and 1 minute.
20 hours.
Which, truth be told, if you compare that to the elites are out there cranking them out, man. I think the fastest anyone's ever ran that course was 12 hours and 21
Holy
minutes.
crap.
Yeah, you got some.
So
guys
what is
out
this?
there.
So like, okay, so you run 20 hours.
Mhm.
What's like the mile breakdown on that? Like, what is the split there?
The split there is going to be somewhere in the 12s. So I think it's around 12-minute miles.
Yeah.
And then you take the guys who do a 12-hour 100-mile, they're cooking at about 7-minute pace.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's about how fast I would run
Yeah,
like just a 5K if I was scooting.
exactly. These guys
That's
go out there
ridiculous.
and just, but these guys you're talking about are paid runners. These guys are sponsored by the
Right.
big companies. These guys can spend their entire week training. Whereas, I've got a normal 9 to 5. I've got a wife and kids to support. So I have to fit in my training where I can. And no one's paying me to enter these races. No one's buying my shoes for me, So I have to do all this stuff. So, I'm never going to be on the elite level. But, when you stack up against normal people, it's still pretty cool knowing that you can do these things.
Yeah. Do you go through shoes?
Oh,
Are you
man,
rough on
I
shoes?
go through so many damn shoes.
How many like a nice pair of Hokas? How many 100-milers can you do in a one pair of shoes, or is it
You can do 4.
4? Okay.
So you could do each pair of Hokas I wear, I get between 400 and 500 miles. I'll run upwards of 3,000 miles a year.
3,000
So
miles.
you do the math, and I'll go through, depending on what I'm doing, I can go through 8, 9, 10 pairs of shoes a year.
Yeah.
I probably currently right now, if you walked into my closet, I've got about 50 pairs of running shoes.
Are you predominantly Hoka?
I'm all Hoka.
They're so comfortable. That's what my running shoes are.
I've tried other brands. I've tried Ultra. I've tried Nike, Brooks, but nothing's really fit my foot like a Hoka does.
Yeah.
Especially for those really crazy distances.
Yeah, that's what I run in the Hokas. I got some navy blue ones.
Yeah.
But I think I've almost maxed them out. I need some new ones.
Yeah.
I've had 3 pair. Yeah, I need new ones.
But you can feel it. You can feel it when they're.
Yeah, you can. It's like
they start getting. You can almost feel the road through them. It's about time they're done.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's such extreme stuff. So that was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Did you run like cross country in high
No.
school?
I did. If we go back to junior high, I did the longer distance stuff. I ran the mile, but I never did run cross country. Once I got to high school, like all athletics, I was done with them. Had no need for them anymore. And like I said, I just never knew my potential until I became damn near 40 years old.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
But then that's the cool thing about life, though, and that people tend to think that, especially young people think like, oh, I got to get it figured out. I got to get it figured out. But it seems like you see all these different like success stories of people figuring it out at all different times of life.
Yeah.
You can always find some new thing. And you don't even know, like you just because you're getting older, that doesn't mean you've done like the greatest thing you're going to do.
Right. Yeah, there's several people who are in their mid 40s, 50s before, they come up with their big idea or,
right.
Unlock their true potential. I'm still hoping that I haven't unlocked mine yet.
Right.
I'm still
same.
Getting out there hoping that I'm going to unlock something that I didn't even know existed in me, which I didn't realize any of this existed in me, but I feel like there's still more in there.
Right. I don't know. Us as humans, like we got this, I don't know, we're just different than everything else out there. And it just seems like the possibilities really are endless, but you do have to go get off the couch. You do got to go try something. That's the only way to find out, what we actually love.
Yeah.
I think so I don't know. I feel like technology is convincing us maybe to go the other way, possibly. How do you feel about that?
I think technology actually is working both ways. I think it's working for us and against us. Because against us, obviously, because it's making people lazy. It's easy to sit in a room and play video games from the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep. But on the flip side, technology is now putting things like ultra running on people's radar. So there are races out there that people didn't even know existed now because of social media and people spreading what they're doing. Man, ultra running is blowing up. There's people hitting the trails. These races that 5 years ago only had 20 people running them now are maxed out at 500 people.
Wow.
So it's really kind of a double-edged sword because it's doing great things, but at the same time, if you got the wrong technology, it's going to make you a lazy person, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. I just don't want us to get to like the Wally point.
Yeah. Everybody's floating around in their chairs. Yeah. On the cruise ship. Yeah. That's true. And unfortunately, I think a lot of our population is heading that way.
Yeah. But like exercise is, you have to do it. Like there's somebody out there will feel like you don't have to exercise, but I feel like for what it's done in my life, especially for, not even just physically, but mentally for sure.
Mental is huge.
Dude, exercise, it will make you feel so much better. Like I don't want to go back to not exercising ever.
So I'll open up a little bit here. I've dealt with depression a good chunk of my life. We're talking about going back to like when I was 15 years old, which I actually have been recently diagnosed with bipolar 2 disorder. So that's, but running has been something that has really worked to help that. Just the exercise in general, getting out there. And I don't know, like you talked about the ice baths, the running does the same thing with me. It gives me that mental clarity. It takes all the crap out of my head and just throws it away. And, it doesn't always work, especially when I'm kind of reaching low points in races. It'll sometimes pull the depression and stuff up into my mind. But when I complete these races and when I complete these training runs and when I complete all of that, it does, man. It gives me this super bout of clarity that I don't get from a therapist, that I don't get from a pill.
Right. I think exercise, I don't know, like our ancestors, like the further you go back, like they didn't know anything but like.
That's all they knew was movement.
Yeah, movement.
They died if they didn't move.
Right. And I think that's kind of how humans are supposed to be.
Yeah.
But I think we're still kind of evolving in a way, into what life is now, where, our meal is wherever you drive to go get it.
Exactly.
And we're but we're disconnected from like life in a lot of ways.
But then you got this other sect of the population when, the Olympics are going on right now, where you see people breaking these records. It's like we're taking the human body and doing things with it that's never been done. You can do that with any sport. You look at baseball, how fast pitchers were throwing in 1910 versus the 105 miles an hour that they're throwing them
hard now.
Yeah. The way football's played now, if you took a running back from today and put them in 1950s, he would kill every player on the field.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
We are becoming more honed in as these superhumans, and running is no different. I mean, we've got people who they'll go set a record. There's the greatest ultra runner on the planet right now is a guy named Jim Walmsley, and well, debatably he's one of the greatest ultra runners. He'll go out and set these insane records at these races. I think he ran 100K, which is 62 miles. He ran it in like 7 hours.
Gosh.
So it's insane. And then you're like, oh, well, nobody's ever going to beat that. Well, then a month later, somebody comes and runs a 655. And then somebody runs a 650. And you're like, where is the floor for this, you know?
Do you think competition, you think that's a competition thing? Like competition to always fuel like new world records?
Yeah, I think people are driven by competition.
Yeah, because as soon I understand what you're saying because like once like the 4-minute mile, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
everyone thought it was impossible.
Yeah.
Now it's not impossible.
Oh no, now they're fast approaching 3 now.
So they're getting
I don't know if you saw, but in the Olympics, the 1500, which is not quite a mile because 1600 is pretty close, but 1500 they ran I think a 327. So I mean,
oh my God, 327 mile,
almost a mile. It's insane. And when I've ran a 453 mile, and I thought that was fast. And then you see these guys who can just, I mean, you take Eliud Kipchoge, who's greatest marathoner who ever walked the planet. He can run a marathon at a 4:34 pace. So 26 miles at a 4-minute 34 per.
That is ridiculous.
I mean, it is.
Yeah.
And too bad, but there was a guy, I can't think of his name, but he recently, he was supposed to be the next Kipchoge. He died in a car crash, but he was going to be the one that was going to come and break Kipchoge's records. I mean, it seems like every minute the next person's born who is, pushing the envelope and just going faster and faster and harder and bigger and stronger.
I think you're right though when you said that there is almost like 2 type of people developing though. Like we are, like you say, we're developing superhumans, but then we're also like the most obese country in the world.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
It is.
Like, because we just got, we won, quite a few golds in track, right?
We're leading the gold medal, but then, we're also leading the fattest segment of the world, I mean, it's strange how that works.
Yeah. The Olympics are interesting to me because some of these athletes, that they've been like honed in to do this, like even since a lot of them since they were real little. And then some of these sports you only see on TV for the Olympics. So I wonder, like, I don't know. They must. I'm trying to get out the thought in my head right now and explain what I'm thinking. But I know it's interesting. I don't know. It's interesting. And then I'm completely blanking out. Hold on.
I think I see what you're saying. They're participating in these sports that have no following.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And so but now this is like your big chance.
This is it. Everybody's looking at you.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say.
It's like at the Winter Olympics. You watch curling. When have you ever watched curling outside of the Olympics? No one has. No one has ever seen a curling match outside of the Olympics.
Curling is wild. Yeah. I remember watching I was like 8 years old and watched it the first time, and I was like, "There's no way.
Yeah,
there's no way this is in the Olympics."
But it's an Olympic sport. I mean, hell, breakdancing's an Olympic sport this year.
Is it really?
Yeah, it really is. And a lot of people are advocating for ultra running to be a contender for an Olympic sport.
Yeah, why not? That sounds like. What's the furthest distance in the Olympics?
Right now, marathon.
Okay,
so they're running that Saturday. So
it's going to be ridiculous, huh? Somebody's going to break some record.
As long as the conditions are right, and it's very possible. We could see some crazy.
Did you see that the swimmers are having to swim in that dirty ass river?
Yeah, the triathletes. Yeah.
They said they spent like $1 billion on the river trying to clean the river, but
I think I've seen some interviews where they talked about they were swimming against the current, and they were having to swim so hard that the water was going in their mouths. They're swallowing mouthfuls of this polluted, nasty ass water, And
so you have to swim upriver.
Yeah, you have to swim upriver, and then I want to say they had to swim upriver and then back around because I don't know what the distance is because I didn't see exactly what the triathlon is. I don't think it's an Ironman distance I think it's maybe just 1 mile you have to swim in the river. God, but still 1 mile in a polluted river.
Yeah. 1 mile in a river would kill me.
Yeah,
I probably would die. So you never did any triathlon type stuff?
I've got a bike, but I've never done any of the triathlon. I've never really had a desire just because I've always, me and swimming don't mix.
Yeah, I'm not.
I look like a wounded fish while trying to swim. I'm
not the greatest swimmer, but I've put some miles behind me on a bike.
Yeah. I actually own a bike and I've barely ridden it. I had an injury because going back to the days of COVID when everything got shut down, all the races got shut down too. So it basically shut down our entire world. And, that hurt us because there's a lot of people out there who are training for these events, and the events are what gives us the motivation to train. So with the events going away, a lot of people lost their motivation. So a lot of these race directors got creative and decided to come up with these virtual races. And these virtual races you can do wherever you want. So you're not really running with other people, but you're trying to set a fast time on your choice of path. So for me, I was signed up for a 69-miler called the Possum's Revenge 69-miler.
The Possum's Revenge.
Yeah. And in fact, I ran it this year too. But I was signed up for it, and COVID hit, screwed all that up. So the race director put out this virtual. So I decided to go out to Highway 108. The section in between 71 and 67. You got the Flying J there and everything. So that's a 6.9 mile section of road. So I figured all I have to do is run it 10 times and I can hit that 69 miles.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. And I did it on a road. Well, in doing so, because the road is so much unforgiving than a trail, I ended up with a small stress fracture right down here in my shin.
Oh, yeah.
And so with that, what everybody does whenever they get injured, they go and drop $2,000 on a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I bought a bike, rode it for 2 months. And
it's a lot more low impact, huh?
It's a lot less impact. And then once, I healed up, I threw the bike. The bike's got about 14 inches of dust sitting in my house right now. But because, running's my baby.
Yeah. When COVID hit, I went and bought my first bike like as an adult. And we would just go to the park and me and my wife would just start, we started riding. And that's when I really started getting back in shape because I kind of let myself go and I was drinking a 6-pack a day. And so
that'll do it.
Yeah. The bike was really good for me. I don't ride as much anymore because I've been playing basketball and running a little bit, but the bike kind of like saved me at one point. And I was doing like 20 miles a day. Like just, but it is a lot less low impact. Yeah. Like you're not going to get hurt on the bike.
No, not unless you're doing like Tour de France type stuff.
Yeah.
But COVID, as bad as it was actually huge for the fitness industry, because you had people buying treadmills, buying bikes. You couldn't, going to Barrage, it was hell getting a bike at that time because everybody was buying bikes. So many people joined into trail running. We had a huge boom in trail running at that time because the trail races started coming back before all the road races did. They were a little more, as long as you showed up wearing a mask and, as long as you were wearing your mask at aid stations, you could run without it. And all the road races were too scared to come back at the time. So many people came into our little...
If you're on a trail, COVID can't catch you, right?
Yeah.
In theory.
Yeah, in theory. Yeah. Depends on how fast.
But out in the woods, at a trail...
I would say that, but I ran a race with COVID. I won a race with COVID. Yeah.
But still, that's so much safer than almost anything else you could be doing during COVID time.
Yeah, for sure.
You got a bunch of people together, but still you're spread out. Yeah. You're running.
Once you get out there on that trail, it's crazy. You can run one of those long events like that, and there'll be 300 other people in the race, and you won't see anybody for 7 hours. Yeah. You'll just be out there by yourself. You'll come up to an aid station, you'll see 2 or 3 people, and they'll give you water and food, and then you take off, and you won't see another soul out there running that race for hours.
So how do what happens if you get injured in between an aid station? I guess just somebody just comes up.
It depends on the nature of the injury.
You bring your phone with you?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
I try to have my phone, but a lot of the places where we run, it's very remote.
Yeah,
so your
no
phone's
service.
Pretty much useless. So it depends on the nature of the injury. I've ran a race where a guy fell down a mountain and literally split his skull open. Well, not split, he split his head open and you could see his skull. Oh. So he needed immediate help. So in that situation, the first runner who came along tried to render aid, but then hurried up to the next aid station. The aid stations all had ham radio, so they could radio, hey, we've got a severely injured person at this point. And then they had to fly a helicopter in.
Yeah, they had to bring a bird in.
Yeah, but if it's a small, I actually messed my groin up in one of the races I was doing. It was a 100-miler. I was actually in the lead at the time and messed my groin up.
Hurt.
Yeah, about mile 38. And I just hit the ground and screamed. And so we ended up, I ended up having to limp to the next aid station about 3 miles away. So, it just depends on the severity.
Yeah, I'm just checking the audio. I don't want to miss audio. But, yeah. They I could see them having to call in a helicopter and get somebody out of there. But I'm sure they notify somebody before you start one of those races. Hey,
there's usually medical.
This is a race.
There's
happening.
Medical on site in some form or fashion. That's They typically won't permit a race unless you have some sort of medical there to help get people out when they need it.
Damn, I never thought about that. I imagine you would have to have a permit to hold a race, huh?
I mean, bad shit can happen in these ultra races. I mean,
you ever seen anybody like serious?
The guy with the split head. I've seen someone with their chin completely split open from falling, because there's a lot of falling.
Falling, yeah, because you just I'm good.
Well,
I'm
yeah,
good,
you're on a trail, and there's you think when you're running on the road, you might have a pothole in front of you, a small rock, but when on the trail, you'll have roots, rocks, big rocks, just these chasms, rivers you're running through. I mean, there's all this different stuff you're dealing with. So falls happen quite a bit. I've seen people break their ankles, stuff like that.
I broke my ankle. I hate it. That's the only bone I've ever broke.
Yeah.
Besides my pinky.
I sprain mine all the time, but I've never straight up broken it.
I was going for a layup, and I felt real good about myself. And this giant dude came to try to slap it off the backboard, and he came down on my head, and he basically made a T over me, and I came down, and it was, which foot? It was this foot. And I landed like this, and it just...
Oh, it just folded over? Oh. Yeah, that finger right there, I broke that playing basketball. That's the only bone I've ever broken in my body.
Yeah, I caught a pass. You catching a pass?
Catching a pass.
This pinky right here is still fat.
Yeah, looks a lot different than the other one.
Basketball. Catching a pass, that's treacherous. It's happened to everybody. Yeah. You think it's jammed, but this was definitely not jammed.
But you talk about injuries. I actually had a guy I was training, a young guy that ran for PG, ran cross country for PG. He was out doing I was also training him to do ultras at the time. And he was at an event where a guy actually had a heart attack and died. And he was the first one on scene. So, shit can go south in a hurry out there.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting your body you got to think
extreme
too.
Your heart rate. Usually if you're doing moderate exercise for an hour, your heart rate's going to get up for an hour. If you're doing an ultra race, your heart rate's going to be up for 24 plus hours. So
even after the race,
yeah, your heart rate after doing an event like that, it takes a while for your heart rate to come back down.
Do you watch your heart rate while you're running?
Yeah.
Where are you typically at? Like, let's say you're 20 miles into a race.
If I'm doing a long event, I don't like seeing my heart rate over 130. Yeah. I like to keep it around there. If I'm doing like a fast event, like a 5K, I'm cool with 180. Because I know I'm only going to be there for 20 minutes,
right?
Max.
Yeah, anything over 150, you're kind of
you're
putting some pressure on yourself.
You're starting to get into zone 3 right there, and you're working a lot harder.
So, I have a Peloton deal at the house, and I'd ride that too, especially like when the weather's all crappy. But they do zone training like I do, because I like to do the long distance stuff on there too. And so is that how you train? Do you do like a zone 1, zone 2, zone 3 type deal?
So the majority of the training that you're going to do as a runner is zone 2. Yeah. And it's different for everybody. My zone 2 is usually around 130 to 160, somewhere in that range. You want to do the majority of your running in zone 2. But then you're going to have workout days where you go out and you run sprints, and then you do recovery, you run sprint, do recovery for different lengths. And then you do tempo runs where your heart rate will be 165, 170 while you're running one mile or 2 mile, doing hills, stuff like that. So your heart rate plays a big part into the training, Man,
that's so, I think I'm going to have to go run something just ridiculously far to even understand. I think, and even somebody listening right now, they'd have to go like experience this. I'm not sure you can explain like what it's like, huh?
You can't. I mean, I think I've done somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 ultra marathons now, between training runs and actual races. And every time I finish one, man, it's a good feeling. Like my buddy and I were getting ready for the Love It 100 up in the Ouachita Mountains this year. And so we went out to Bringle and did a 50K out there. We ran 31 miles of Bringle. We just went.
What is that, 5 laps? So what is it, about 6 miles around?
If you do the red, green, and blue loop together, you can do it 3 times. And then we did a small out and back on the wide path.
Okay.
And that was a full blown 31 mile 50K.
I need to break through this 13-mile deal.
Yeah, just
and
do it,
something
man.
further.
It's all here.
Yeah. I got to let my back heal. I hurt myself this week. My lower back. So that you talked about having an injury and you said you got on the bike, but like how tough is it being, because for me, like when I'm injured, when I have to tell myself to slow down, That's like the worst feeling ever for me. Because I think I'm happiest when I'm like exercising, like going hard.
Yeah.
And then I still feel like I don't recover enough. Because like I'll get in these smooth swings where I'm like working out and then I'll just go too hard and then get like sick or something. Like, I don't know. But I guess my question is like, I don't know. It's like when you're like at school and you don't get to play like on the team or something. Like, is that how you feel when you get injured? Like,
yeah,
you're like stuck on the sidelines.
If you're missing races that you've signed up for, and you're seeing all your friends post on Facebook about it, or you actually go to the race and just help out because they need volunteers at these races. So sometimes I'll go volunteer if I'm hurt. But yeah, it's kind of bittersweet because you're helping them, but at the same time, you want to be out there, you know, getting your ass kicked alongside everybody else. And yeah, it's kind of difficult to deal with mentally sometimes. Yeah. Being injured is a runner's worst enemy.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, one of my good friends is a actual PT, and she helped me get through because I started getting injured on the way to Leadville last year, and she actually had to do some physical therapy on me to get me because I started having forgot the name of that muscle. It was a butt muscle essentially. Was acting up, and she helped me get through that. So yeah, injuries suck, man, but it's part of it. And some people are lucky and get through their whole running lives and don't experience injury of any major degree. Luckily, I haven't had too many major. I've had a little bit of a knee issue, a tear in my knee, and I've had that stress fracture. But other than that, nothing's really sidelined me. Yeah. So I've been fortunate.
Yeah,
I just attribute it to that Wolverine blood.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. So you said you were on a TV show.
Yeah, I was on a TV show.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, in 2019, I had the opportunity. I had some friends that have been on the show Naked and Afraid on Discovery Channel.
Okay.
And one of the casting directors called one of them and said, "Hey, we've got this new show. Do you know anybody who's like a normal person, but they're athletic and into the outdoors?" And I was the first person he thought of. So I'm sitting there eating dinner one night. I get a phone call from an LA number, and it's this casting director from Discovery Channel saying, "Hey, we've got this new show where you're going to be going up against an apex predator, and we would like to know if you're interested because someone has put your name in our ear." And I'm like, "Wow!" I'm like that sounds really cool. I mean, tell me more.
Yeah, that sounds dangerous.
Yeah, and at the time they wouldn't really tell me they wouldn't tell me what it was. They were just like, you are going to be going up against an animal. And I'm like, this sounds really cool. They're like, you're not going to be in any true danger, so you can, rest your family assured. But if you're interested, send us. I had to do a video. We had to do Skype. Well, eventually they were like, yeah, let's do this. So they flew me out to Utah. The show wound up being called Man vs. Bear. It was on Discovery Channel. And the premise of the show is they have 3 grizzly bears. One of the bears, I see you're big Hot D fan, House of the Dragon.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure you watched Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Do you remember the bear? Scene, the bear?
Yeah, and when they're in the
with Bree
in the cage with Brienne. Yeah.
I fought that bear.
That bear?
That bear. I fought that bear.
Oh, that's so cool.
So I got to.
That's cool.
Yeah, I got to play tug of war with that bear. So the premise of the show is you have these events, and there was 5 total events. There's 3 human beings in each episode, and you're going up against your fellow human, going up against the bears. So the goal is to outdo your fellow opponents when you're doing these events against the bears. And so I got to tug of war with Bart the bear, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And then we had an eating contest where you had to eat the things a bear would eat, and that was disgusting. So we're talking about
Yeah. What was that?
Like some rotting ass nasty fish, bugs. Some more normal foods like big chunks of meat and pine nuts and stuff like that. But then we had an obstacle course, which that was kind of my wheelhouse. So I got to run the obstacle course. We climbed a big tree. Meanwhile, there's a bear chasing you the whole time. Yeah, so it was a pretty interesting show.
Where is the show at? Can I watch the show? Yeah,
you can. If you've got Discovery Go, you can go actually watch
Discovery Go?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's still out there. I was on episode 2. And I'm not going to sit here and act like it was an Emmy worthy, but it was it was interesting. I mean, the show didn't really it didn't fare well with the fans. It caught a lot of feedback from PETA. They're saying we were abusing the animals.
Oh yeah,
and I'm telling you, those bears were treated 10 times better than we were treated on the set, man. They catered to those bears. It was kind of crazy.
And so they're trained. They're like,
yeah, they're absolutely 100% Hollywood trained bears. They know commands once they're given the command. Like when Bart and I were playing tug of war, as soon as they blew the whistle, that bear grabbed that rope and took off with it. And I literally, man, it's like being attached to a car. I mean, because you're having a 1,200-pound grizzly bear just running the other direction, and I'm belted into this rope, and it just yanks me off this platform, and I fall 30 foot in the water.
Golly, well, it was still scary though, right?
Oh, it was terrifying.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna lie. It was
because they say he's trained, but it's back in mind like that's still like a predator.
What if he decides not to let this rope go?
Yeah.
And he keeps running with it, and he pulls me out the water, and I'm being dragged like a rag doll. But everything went well. I made some friends for life on that show. It was a lot of fun.
Discovery. There's been a lot of shows on Discovery, and then like the History Channel. They all went. They did a bunch of shows, kind of in that same type of deal. Now, your friends, did they do good on Naked and Afraid? Was it one guy?
One of them, Jeremy McKay. He has been on.
Is he from here?
No, he's actually from Monroe, Louisiana. He did really well. He's been on a lot of the XLs, the ones where they put him out there for a ridiculous amount of days, and he's pretty solid. Other friends, not so well. One friend didn't make it more than 2 days, and he tapped out.
It's so rough out there, though.
Yeah, that's a show that I would never try to do. I actually tried to get on the Squid Game, the live action Squid Game.
Oh, that was so good.
Yeah. So did you see that live action version?
Yeah, that was so good.
I was a finalist for it and made it to the final round and did not make it on the show.
There is coming back again, they say.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Now that was every bit as good as the TV show, like the actual TV. The TV show was great.
I was so bitter that they didn't pick me that I never watched it. I was.
You never watched that?
I was so pissed off because they got my hopes up. Like, yeah, we're gonna fly to Great Britain. You're gonna be there for a month shooting the show. I already got the all cleared from work. It was gonna be great. And they said, we'll call you Friday. Friday came, and I'm sitting by the phone, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. I'm gonna be on Squid Game. Have a chance to win $4.56 million. Phone never rang. Yeah. So after that, I'm like, I'm done with TV.
Yeah. It was good. Yeah. It was crazy
I'm
good.
Sure it was.
It was insane.
The real show was insanely good.
Yeah. I watch a lot of Survivor.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like Survivor on steroids.
That's a show I've thought about getting on. But
yeah, you should. I
have a lot of people telling me that I should try.
I already know how I would play. I already have it played. I watched them all. Yeah. I binge watched them all this year.
Yeah.
I just went back and watched every single season of Survivor.
Yeah, one of these days I might try to get on that one. They say once you get on one show, it helps your chances getting on another. So. Yeah,
especially the reality scene. Because I see them Survivor people will be on all. Like I seen a couple of them were on the Mole.
Yeah, you'll see them bouncing around.
Yeah. Which I had. Oh man. Jason Elliott is a tattoo guy here in town, and he was on Ink Masters. He was on 2 seasons of Ink Masters.
That's right.
And he was teaching me. He was telling me like,
I love Ink Masters. It's a great show.
Yeah, that interview is awesome because he basically told me how it works and how they shoot it.
Yeah,
and he told me he's like, I can look at any reality show and basically see how they shot it.
I can do the same thing.
Yeah,
and I was
yours was kind of
and I haven't seen that. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that because I'm curious to see his take on it. But a lot of everything you see on TV is bullshit.
Yeah, that's what
it's 100% bullshit. And my particular episode, they set it up for the female to win.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And one of the production assistants, they assign you a production assistant while you're on the show, and they're basically your butler. Like, you need something to drink, something to eat, they go get it. They'll stand there with an umbrella over you while you're waiting when you're out in the sun. Like, they're literally your person. And I had a really cool one, and he said, man, he's like, I'm going to level with you. He said, a lot of the things they're doing here is so bad. Yeah. He said, some of the events, they're weighing it for her to win. And he showed me. And then later on, when I would talk to her, she admitted, she's like, we didn't get treated the same, or I didn't get treated the same way you guys did. So
one thing he told me is that the competition really was about the tattoos, but a lot of the personality stuff matters too. And ratings as far as like characters that people liked, that also did play a part in what the judges like who they would send home.
Yeah,
because like if somebody's like got the rating,
send a popular person home, people are watching.
Yeah, so like you have to really mess up, like bad, like unforgivable bad.
See, and that's kind of what they were doing on my show. They were creating her to be this, which she's a cool girl. Don't get me wrong, but they they weren't telling my full story, but they were telling her full story to get the sympathy for her.
Yeah.
Because they moved her into the final. At the very end of the season, they had a final episode, and she made it into the final episode. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy how TV works. And he's right. Like you can watch a TV, and I'll be sitting there with my wife and my kids, and I'm like, yeah, they're scripting that, or they got that person intentionally drunk so that they would do this because that kind of thing drives.
Did you have to shoot some scenes where you had to go, like, were there cut scenes of you talking?
Yes.
So you had to go back and wear clothes you wore from a different day and try to pretend like you're in that moment again? Yeah,
that's we only filmed for 2 days, so we had to wear the same thing both days.
Yeah.
Since it's not like their show where they're there for weeks. We're only there for 1 day, so we had to wear the same thing. There was a big continuity error in my wardrobe though, because I was wearing a headband at the start, and you'll see like in one scene I'll be wearing it, one scene I won't, one scene I'll be wearing it, one scene I won't, because in the first the tug of war, when he pulled me off the platform and I hit the water pit, that was the first thing we shot. The first event we shot, I hit the water and my headband came off and it sunk to the bottom of the pool. So you'll see all these other ones. I'm not wearing this headband anymore. And so I'm sure people are like, wait a minute, you know. But we would shoot scenes, the walkout scene where it's the introduction. We shot the walkout scene probably 150 times. It's just you walking through a field. Okay, back up, do it again. Okay, back up, do it again.
Yeah.
Okay, back up, do it again. You're like, my God, man. And it's freezing cold up there in the mountains of Utah. Like, how many times do we need to walk through this damn field for you to have the footage you need? This is insane.
Yeah, I try so hard, like Survivor specifically. I try so hard to not see it as the TV show. I'd rather be tricked, I think.
Yeah, that's probably your best bet.
But in my head, I'm always seeing stuff where I'm like,
yeah,
I can't unsee it.
You can bet that a lot of the things you're seeing on Survivor, that they've either been nudged in a certain direction or they've just been flat out scripted to be that way.
Do you watch a lot of Survivor?
I haven't watched a lot of the latest seasons. Early on, I did.
Yeah.
Because God, that show's been on the air for what, 24 years now?
I used to watch it with my mom in like the living room.
I remember
when I was like a kid.
Yeah, I was barely 20 years old, I think, when that show started coming on. So
they're on like season 47.
That's insane.
But it's so good because it's like it's adapted now. So like if you watch these new seasons, like the stuff we used to watch when it first came out, it was so slow. They'd vote somebody off because they didn't like them.
Yeah.
It isn't like that anymore.
Is it not?
It's all numbers. It's all this, and they have to have all these twists to keep it from being just numbers. Also,
well, I guess, they don't want it to be the same thing every single season. It would get boring.
It's insane strategy. Like don't make a move too early, but you got to make moves, and then just making
it to get caught back up on it. I'll watch
Survivor's exciting. It's crazy, and it's just changed over the year. They had a little lull around COVID, but it's bouncing back.
Yeah,
but. I mean, if you test negative for COVID once you get to the island, you ought to be all right, you would think.
Yeah.
But then there's a lot of people. There's a lot of. I try not to think about how many cameras there are on this damn island.
Oh, there's tons of them.
Yeah, you just think it is just so easy to think that there's like 5 people just sitting around a campsite, but no,
and
it's
that's
probably
a major production. So I'm sure they've got cameras coming out of every log, every.
I feel like they hide idols for like tell people where idols are, like. Because every time somebody needs something, every time somebody like a good character needs something, it'll happen for them.
That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence.
Which breaks my heart because I wanted to be like, because this one guy Ben on this one season, like he's completely out of the alliance, like the main alliance, and they're already past the merge at the end, and he just keeps finding idols, just over and over and over again. Like he finds like 5 of them. Like the personal immunity idols. And every time they think they got it, because he would either win immunity or go find an idol. And so they think they'd have him, and he played another idol. And he made it all the way to the end.
Yeah.
And won off of it. It's like...
Because he wasn't part of the alliance, that's what drove the ratings. Yeah. They were like, how far can he go?
But he didn't sleep, though. Or at least that's what TV showed. Like, he just stopped sleeping. He would just go search the jungle all night long.
Nobody can stop sleeping.
Yeah. Well, that's what they said. You know how that is. He was a Marine, so I don't... You know how they...
Maybe so.
They hype all that up. I probably played into the TV deal a lot.
It's not hard to do, man. They're good at it.
You like House of Dragon, Game of Thrones, all that stuff?
I haven't watched much of House of Dragon. I've watched a couple episodes. My son is like... He is #1 fan.
Yeah.
But yeah, Game of Thrones, that was huge.
Yeah, Game of Thrones.
I love Game. Awesome. I did not like the last season.
Most people didn't.
Yeah, They
I
went
tell you,
south.
the more I watch it though, like because I've rewatched it like 6 times now.
Yeah, you sound like my son. He's the same way.
It's getting like it gets better every time. I understand why she burned the whole city. It makes more sense. The first time I watched it, I was like, no.
Yeah.
But then like the more you watch it, it's like, no, that bitch Cersei, excuse my language, but she earned that. That's why they got the whole city blew up. But I'm huge on stuff like that. I kind of get like I get kind of sucked into these universes. I like shows that have like a universe built into them. Like I'll get like I got big into Star Wars at one point where I like because there's just so much content. It's just ridiculous amount.
I'm currently into The Boys. I love that show. Love The Boys. Amazon.
I'm like in season 3, so I need to catch up.
I'm caught up 100%, man.
Good,
that show is crazy good.
That dark. I don't know. Those dark shows are good. And then we hadn't really seen like a live action superhero show where the superheroes were like how they are.
Yeah.
Kind of like, remember like Hancock?
Yeah, it was exactly like Hancock.
Yeah, that show. And that was like, we had never seen anything like that.
And as you watch The Boys, you watch Homelander, he just starts getting a little bit more deranged every single season. So it shows that they're not just superheroes. They're kind of normal people at the same time. They go through the same crap we go through.
Yeah.
That's what I love about that show. It just doesn't paint them as these just amazing heroes that they've got these dark sides.
It's how most hero shows, you have your heroes and you have your villains. Yeah.
And the heroes are the villains. And The Boys, that's what I love about it.
It's crazy. Did you watch Invincible?
Yes.
Because it's similar.
Yes. Invincible is amazing.
Yeah, I like that too.
That's from the creator of The Walking Dead. That's why it's so good.
That show was good too.
That's a show that kind of went off the rails for me though. I got kind of off whenever.
Is it the baseball scene, the baseball bat scene?
No, I made it way past that.
Okay, that's about where I gave out it.
Yeah, but I don't know when they started running into the other groups of humans, and it became less of a zombie show and more about just a crappy person show.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just kind of lost.
Yeah,
I kind of lost interest. But Invincible, man, that's a great show. I can't wait till the next season comes out for that.
I remember figuring out for the first time, like that feeling the first time when you figure out Omni-Man is like no bueno.
Yeah, he's not good. He's not good.
He's so strong.
It blew my mind. I was like, oh my God.
Do you ever dabble in anime? Any anime shows?
Actually, yeah. So you got some Avatar. I've actually watched the entire Avatar series.
I love Avatar.
I've Dragon Ball Z. I've seen pretty much every Dragon Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z. Definitely.
Yeah.
You ever watch Hero? My Hero Academia?
No.
It's so good.
I have not watched that.
That's up there.
Neon Genesis Evangelion. I've watched that one. I had a pretty good anime phase when I was younger.
Full Metal?
No, I never got into Full Metal.
They say watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I loved it. It was so good.
It's harder now, man. Back in the day, I had a lot more time to sit in front of the TV. But when you start training for ultras, every bit of time that you're not spending working or training, you're trying to catch up with your family or do shit around the house that you need to do. Right. So
I got a question. Back to running. What are you listening to?
Oh, what am I listening to
while you're running? Because these are insane hours.
Yeah, it depends where I'm running. Yeah. If I'm doing a road run, I'm typically just listening to music. I listen to audiobooks.
Right, yeah.
Audiobooks do pass the time. I love Stephen King, so I will listen to a ton of his audiobooks. Right now I'm re-listening to The Stand. I listen to some podcasts.
I love podcasts.
Yeah. And I'll download them because, I'll be out in the woods for a long, long time. And sometimes I keep the music in my back pocket or I keep the book in my back pocket. I don't bring it out until I'm hurting.
Oh, till you need it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Because then you're like, okay, now's the time to try to get my brain off the crap that my brain is thinking. And so you'll whip out the music. I'll have certain playlists, for certain moods. I'll have some lighter stuff or I'll put in some heavy metal, some, something like that to try to get me through the funk.
The last Run the Line, I listened to a podcast. I was like Joe Rogan the whole time. Yeah. And it felt weird because it's like I normally have like music playing, but I was like, nah, I'm going to try this. But no, I was listening to a podcast the whole time.
It's funny that you brought up Run the Line because the first time I did Run the Line, it was the first time I'd ever done a half marathon. I'd never ran, I think, more than 5 miles.
So that was your start?
Yeah, I did Run the Line. And I remember I was in Spring Lake Park and I felt like I was going to die. And Eminem, Lose Yourself.
Lose Yourself. Oh, yeah, that'll get you going.
Oh, shit. Here we go. And man, and from that point forward, I was just able to motor through and finish that race.
How fast did you run that first
My first
Run the
one
line.
was a 144. And then I went back the
Which
next.
is crazy fast for the first.
Then I ran a 138 the next year, and then I really got serious and ran a 121.
Whew.
And when I finished 4th place, I wanted to be the top Texarkana finisher that year, and I managed. I also got first Masters, and that was just kind of an unexpected bonus because I just hit 40 years old at that point.
Yeah, but I think I'm going to run it again next year, and I think I'm going to try to train this time.
That's a good idea.
Because I ran a 159, and then like I came back the next year and ran like a 158. So like, I just knocked a minute off, but I didn't.
Man, if you go out there and put in some serious training, you'd be amazed at what you can do.
I'd like to get in the 140s.
Oh man, yeah, you can easily do it, man. Because like I said, if you hit 159 without doing any training, if you train, man, a 140 or sub 140 is easily attainable. For someone who can run a sub 2 without training, a 140 is easy.
I need to do it.
Yeah.
I ran, so it's funny. I start off and I ran the run the line the first time. And in my head, I said, I'm going to run about 4 miles. And then if I need to walk, I'm going to walk. So like I had that door open in my head. Then I made it 4 miles and I was like, I kind of had got by people and I was like, and then I'm real competitive. So I start seeing these people and I'm like, if I start walking right now, I'm not going to finish near these people. And it's like, well, no. And so like I said, well, I'll just run another mile and see how I'm feeling. And then once I got to, so then I got to 6 and I'm like, okay, now we're too close to half.
Yep.
And so then I just run the whole race. And it was just like.
Catching people is an awesome feeling.
Oh, dude. There was in that first run the line, there was a guy that was in front of me. He's a real tall guy. And he was in front of me for probably, I could see him like maybe 200 meters ahead, 100 meters ahead at different little straightaways. And for probably like 4 or 5 miles. And then I slowly started gaining on him. And then like that started to be the motivation. I was like, all right, now I'm finna catch his ass. So then I passed him and I was like, I got to find somebody new now. I got to find somebody to chase. Yeah.
That was me when I ran the 121. I was, I remember I'd come through, I was about mile 10. It's right before you cross over, when you cross over Texas Boulevard to turn left to go up, what's that? Is it Main Street there? And it's kind of a hill right there. And I'd seen my wife and she's like, you're doing great. And I said, no, I'm not. I'm dying. I can't hold this pace anymore because at this time I'm running a 6:12 pace.
Oof.
And I turn that left and I'm starting going up that hill and I see 4th place. And I'm like, oh God, I'm catching him.
Yeah.
And it took me till about almost to mile 12 to catch him. But once I caught him and got past him, like, I'm not losing this spot. And and like we said, that's what motivated me to not lose my momentum and keep going. And
you were talking earlier about running a virtual race by yourself. I would struggle.
Dude, that's a whole different animal because you don't have that competitive feeling. You're basically racing the time clock. And
I don't do good. Like I can't see the finish line and I need to have somebody to chase down.
And I did a lot of those virtuals, man, because that was the only thing that was keeping me going. I went out have you ever been out on the Northeast Texas Trail? It goes from New Boston all the way to Farmersville, Louisiana. It's basically just an old rail line that they converted to a trail. They do a race there every year.
How long is that race?
The one they do, it's called Run the Rail. And you can either do a marathon or you can do a half marathon. And to do the half marathon, they bus you to DeKalb and you run back to New Boston. To do the marathon, you go a little past Avery on a county road and run all the way back. It's a cool event. They need to do some work on the section in between DeKalb and New Boston to make it really runnable. Because right now that section is all tore up. And if they ever get that turned into a real trail, it's going to be an amazing event.
I need to dabble.
Yeah.
Dabble in there.
I suggest trails. What you say you go out to Bringle?
Yeah, I've ran that several times.
Trail running makes you a faster road runner. 100%.
I'm trying to remember what I ran the other day for when I ran it was 6 miles, 6.1 around there. I want to say it was like upper 40s or 50s.
That's not bad, man, for a 10K.
There was only the 2 ladies in front of me. There was one lady in front of me the whole way, and I had to catch her because I was in 4th.
Little short blonde.
Well, no, she came in 2nd, I think. The little short blonde girl.
Oh yeah, that's right. Stacy was the one who won.
Oh wait, no, I got 2nd overall. It was the one lady that won it.
Yeah.
And then it was me. Then it was the lady.
Yeah.
And I ain't gonna lie, the one reason I may have beat the other lady you're talking about is she got lost at the golf course.
Oh, wow.
She was ahead of me the whole time. And she turned into the golf course.
She didn't make that right-hand turn.
You know how you got to go beside?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, and I kind of stopped for a second. I'm like, hey, over here.
Well, that was
She's
cool,
like, oh. Yeah. So then we were running beside each other. And then I started to pull away from her then. But I think it may have been different. That probably messed her up, you know.
I'll tell you what, you talked about navigating through problems earlier.
Yeah.
That's a huge problem when you get lost out there.
Oh, yeah.
And it's happened to me more than once. And I actually ran this 50-miler last year. Last year was one of my greatest years of running, man. I was just dialed in. This year, I'm still working to get back there. But last year I was running a 50-miler and I got off course. I was in the lead and I got a mile off course and had to run back a mile and ran so hard. And actually still ended up winning the race somehow.
Oh, wow.
But man, you go into full-blown panic mode. You know, when you're competing and you feel like you've got a chance to win the race.
They have trackers on you?
It depends on the race,
trackers?
man. If you're doing these really huge 200-milers like Cocodona, like I'm doing next year in Arizona, they actually put a satellite tracker on your shoulder.
Oh, that's cool.
But these smaller races, no. They have blazes on the trees. They usually put up course markers. And, you know, when you start running at 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's dark. So you're relying on your headlamp. And if you miss one of those markers and you don't make that turn, you could go a ways before you realize you missed a turn.
Oh,
and so you're backtracking and you're you know,
God, I think I
so mad at yourself because you missed.
Yeah, I'm prone to get lost myself.
Yeah, I've lost some races from getting lost.
Oh, that has to hurt.
It does.
I think that lady would have beat me.
Yeah.
But I finished strong. Boy, I've got a hell of a kick. I know if I can get
That's awesome.
like anywhere near the finish line, I know I can go.
Sniff the finish line.
Oh yeah, I go. It's like some crazy feeling that comes over me if I get just anywhere remotely near the finish line. I'm like,
I try to do that kick too, even in the long races, the 100-milers.
Yeah.
I try to kick in.
Yeah.
You reach in, you find that little 1% energy you still have left, and you try to run through as hard as you can.
Man, I enjoyed it, dude.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad you came through.
Thanks for having me on.
You've inspired me to run a little farther.
Hell yeah.
The furthest I've ran is 13 miles. I
want to follow that journey. I want to see.
Yeah,
I want to see you run a marathon.
I need to. What's the next marathon that's like attainable?
Little Rock.
And when is it?
In March.
In March.
So that gives you plenty of time to train.
I could train by March to run a marathon.
The Little Rock Marathon. I think that would be a perfect one. It'd be basically like run the line twice.
Twice, yeah.
So you can do it, man.
Yeah, I know I could. It was I wonder if can you sign up early?
Yeah.
I feel like if I signed up like now,
gives you the motivation to go out there.
Okay, like I've signed up, like now I got.
Just don't forget about it, and then a month later, and then a month before the race, but oh shit, I got to train.
I got to run a marathon.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, I think you can go out. I think you can sign up right now.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
The Little Rock Marathon.
Yeah, do the Little Rock Marathon.
I need to do that.
Yes,
that's. I got motivated.
Nice.
I'm ready to go. Let's go run a marathon right now. No, let's not do that. I'm sure you could.
I might can. I got my running shoes on.
Oh yeah, no, not in the dudes.
Yeah, not in the dudes. I've tried to run in dudes. That's not fun.
No, these are. I've tried to play basketball in these. It's been a few weeks ago.
All over the place.
Yeah, I forgot my basketball shoes, and I'm like, it's okay. It was not okay. I just quit. But anyways, for the channel, man, like, share, subscribe. 180 Creator Interviews. I try to drop at least 2 a week. Been kind of slow, but I'm getting back on it. I got a bunch of cool people booked. So yeah, man, if you've tapped in this long, we definitely appreciate you. Like I said, Brad, thank you for coming on, man. I've enjoyed it for sure. Yes, sir. Y'all keep tuning in. Y'all stay blessed. We appreciate it.